And I quote, "I'll be there in a minute. Give me a second."
Time is relative, folks. Time is relative.
Yes. So, hey, cheers to everybody in the chat. They're a division rival. I don't care how many wins they get. Screw them.
That wasn't the take I was expecting to hear.
I want to gush over watching live Chris Tanev.
I think that we completely underestimate the skill it takes to play defense.
One highlight or several highlights does not a Calder trophy make.
I'm stepping in here. I'm going to be the crotchety old man here. They need to learn patience. They need to understand the tension and everything and the drama.
How dare! Look at this! How is McDavid not getting a penalty?
You guys need to calm down with this, okay? You guys need to calm down with it.
We are not going to be calm. As the late, great Bob Cole has always said, everything is happening. Can you believe it? The Vancouver Canucks were half asleep on a Sunday afternoon in Nashville for 55 minutes, down 3-1. Brock Boeser scores to make it 3-2 with 2.5 minutes to go. Colton Sissons, in what may go down as an all-time miss, hits the post with an empty net. And Brock Boeser scores with 6.7 seconds to go to tie the game at 3, sending the game in overtime when Elias fucking Lindholm, Flames fans. I'm going to say this again, Flames fans. Elias Lindholm, the guy you didn't like. Oh, the guy that I have a graph. I look at my graph. My graph says that Elias Lindholm's no good. He's not an elite center. Like Grateful Flames Nation. Shut up. You know nothing. Elias Lindholm scores the winning goal and knocks the Canucks to a 3-1 series lead. Where's your stats about Andrei Kuzmenko now? Oh, wait, no goals since April 23rd because he hasn't played in the playoffs? And Elias Lindholm clutches again? Oh, my graph says he's no good, guys. My graph said he's no good. Sit down. Sit your ass down. That's why you get Elias Lindholm, Sean and Chris. That's why you acquire him. He gets 2 points, +2, 75% in the face-off circle. He's not an elite center, guys. My graph told me he's not an elite center. I do analytics, and he's not an elite center. He's not, guys. Sit down. How are you?
You got that out of your system now?
Well, Chris, I don't think we can top that, but cheers, buddy.
Yeah, let's go. Woo! Yeah, I think I can speak for all of us Canucks fans. Kind of was lulled almost to sleep through, 55 minutes of that game? And then, pulling Seelovs with 3 minutes to go, I was like, okay, let's see if we can get this close. And holy shit. Like, watching most of that game, I did not have high confidence that was going to happen. I think, like a lot of us, I'm still kind of a little bit lost for words right now. But I'm jacked. I'm in a good mood. And we're up 3-1 and can finish this in Vancouver without a secondary trip to Nashville, potentially. Knock on wood.
Yeah, that's huge. My voice is a little hoarse, even though I was pretty, like you, Chris, a little sort of numb to all of it with getting the news that Seelovs is in net. So we're down to our third stringer. Nothing against Seelovs, but it's just you get the Demko injury, or like, okay, DeSmith comes in, has an okay game in game 2, plays really well in game 3, and you get this news, and it's sort of just like it sort of bummed me out a little bit, and so I went into the game just like, okay, well, let's see how this goes. Expectations are on the lower side. You get Boeser scoring early on. That helped, but Nashville answered back pretty quickly in the first. They go up 2-1 in the second, score really early in the third on a very controversial goal there. And then, so I'm I was really close to being fully checked out. If we hadn't been doing a podcast, there would have been a chance I might have just shut off the game just for my mental health, just so I'm not just hate watching. I hate doing that. But Brock Boeser,
Clutch.
6.7 seconds left. Oh my! Like it's
There was some criticism. I thought Brock Boeser in Game 3 had probably the best game that I have ever seen him play. And like he got the goal, the power play goal, and he set up he was instrumental in the power play in the JT Miller goal, and then he got a goal himself. But just his own defensive play and the play, I know that Teddy Bluger got a hell of a lot of credit for blocking the shot, and he should. But Brock Boeser was the one that kept Roman Josi from getting into the zone for about 20 seconds there because of his forechecking. I thought he was absolutely great at the end there. And tonight, just calm and clutch. Like that line was the best. The one line that was for the first 55 minutes anyway was the one line that was was generating chances, right? So I think that this is some of the best hockey that Brock Boeser has ever played. And I love what Matt Lee said. Just somewhere up there, Duke Boeser is smiling.
You bet your ass he is.
Yeah, that Miller Suter Boeser line has been not only the best line that for the Canucks, but one of the best lines in the playoffs. Period. They may not have up until today. They may not have the same production in terms of goals scored compared to other lines, but this has been a very low scoring series and just low event series period anyways. Yeah. So you can't really compare the series to series very as easily as you can in just comparing line to line in the regular season. But it's also a line that you're not afraid to throw up against the Philip Forsberg line. It's not a line you're gonna be afraid to throw up against any line in the NHL. And even though that we're still waiting for the Pettersson line to get going, between that line and then the Lindholm line, the third line, the Canucks still have essentially, I'd argue, 2 top 6 lines going right now.
Well, the one person that I don't think is getting enough credit here too is you just mentioned Pius Suter has been playing really well. He hit the post early mid-second period or the first period. He hit the crossbar on a chance. He's getting his chances. Just hasn't put it in. But I think he's done a lot of yeoman's work to allow the Canucks to kind of stick in there and be a really good asset for the Miller line anyway. And I've already went off on Elias Lindholm, but Connor Garland has been sneakily, quietly good. Dakota Joshua has been good. They're getting, you were right, they're getting production from everybody. But let's talk about this goaltending situation because I think I have a theory. Here's my theory. Can you just hear me out? I think that they decided if it was 2-1 Preds, Casey DeSmith would have played. It was 2-1 Canucks. And I think that they were like, instead of running Casey DeSmith ragged, and we don't know how long Thatcher Demko's out, quite likely we're going to have to run 2 goalies to get to the Stanley Cup final. And this was a night you could put Seelovs in. And if you lose, you're tied. If you win, you're up 3-1. So I'm wondering if in essence, in conclusion, from based on what I'm reading, I think that they're going to go with a 1.5 to 2 goalie system through the playoffs. They're not going to run Casey DeSmith every game. I think we are going to see Seelovs every once in a while.
Yeah, the fact that they have the confidence to play in front of him, like you explained, it's a fairly low risk situation as far as why they decided to go with Seelovs tonight, as opposed to just going with DeSmith again. Because what I read was that he apparently could have gone, but they decided to kind of opt not to. So it definitely seemed like that they had the confidence in Seelovs. Is kind of how I read it between the lines there.
Sealovs can handle pressure after the World Championships last year on home ice, like playing for Latvia in front of those fans. You're going to feel pressure. Backstopping Latvia to their first World Championship medal of all time in all time, and being the tournament MVP. Like he knows how to play under pressure. So that's huge. And then he's played solidly enough. He's had a little bit of a down year in the AHL this year, but every time he's come up and played for the Canucks, he's played solid. So and all the goals today were not his fault. Like
Lentowski was a tip.
You had
one timer. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, Nyquist was an absolute snipe. Like that was just him picking the corner. He had way too much time to shoot. Then you had the kick in goal that I'm not sure what happened. Like that one, I don't know if you could. Yeah, I don't know if there's. I'm not clear on the review rules and the challenging rules, but I don't know. Even if they could challenge it, I don't know if that was one that they would win, because his skate didn't leave the ice, and that's usually how things go. That's usually the indicator of whether or not that we will see a goal get called back for kicking, as if the skate blade leaves the ice, because that's when it gets dangerous, as we've seen, as we saw in a scrum earlier 2 days ago with Brendan Dillon.
Oh yeah.
So, like Seelovs was solid. He kept them in it. He made he made a couple big saves, and he kept them in it. Like, from everything I've read, it sounded like they made the decision yesterday that Seelovs was going in. They somehow kept it quiet, which is fantastic for them. And until
up until the pregame presser.
Yeah. And yeah, I think they have to. I think after seeing how DeSmith played, going every day when Denko was injured for in the regular season, I think you do have to go with a 2-goalie system here. You do have to show faith in Seelovs. You do have to show faith in DeSmith, but you have to do it together. Like otherwise, there's a chance you don't want to create a situation where the goalies are out of their comfort zone. You want to put them in positions to succeed, and especially in this series where it's been sort of low event, muck it up hockey. It's not like you're facing a high flying team. Next round, depending on who the Canucks play, could be a different story. Also, depending on whether or not Demko is back or not, it also plays into that. But man, like, did you see Seelov's celly at the end? He was giving them the little Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, because that crowd was
at the end there.
They were loud.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
And a lot of the headlines were talking about the fact that like the Canucks goaltending depth is being tested, and like a lot of like that sort of narrative. And I think it's awesome the fact that the Canucks are 3 goalies deep and still have faith that they can perform, not in the regular season, in the fucking playoffs. So if that shows like the fact that like the Canucks have depth in the goaltending position, I don't know what does.
Yeah, and also the fact that the Abbotsford Canucks won in overtime as well today.
2 overtime winners.
To advance to the second round of the AHL playoffs with Zach Sawchenko, who got very much spot duty as the third goaltender down in Abbotsford this year, and now he has to run with the ball down there, because not only is Seelovs up, but the backup was Tolopilo today for Vancouver. So man, this is why you always need to have the goaltending pipeline so important.
Yes,
because you never know when you're going to have an injury or a couple, but you need that depth, and not only just for the big club, but the AHL club too, because you want to make sure that your AHL players are playing have trust in their goaltenders as well.
Yeah. I want to talk about one other former Flame. And first of all, before one of the things that, Rick Tocchet made one brilliant move at the end of the game, of the regulation anyway, and it was putting Nikita Zadorov on with the power crew and putting him as a net front presence. I don't know who came up with that idea, but whoever does deserves
The Dustin Byfuglien playbook.
Yeah, that was brilliant, and he's the right guy to do it because he's menacing and mean. He's not afraid to get into those dirty areas, as you know. And I mean, he doesn't get an assist on the goal, but he caused enough chaos to allow Brock Boeser to pick up the puck from behind the net. Saros loses his stick. Boeser is able to, all of the stuff that went on there was absolutely great from everybody. But I think the move to put Nikita Zadorov as a net front presence should not go unnoticed. That was brilliant.
And it was. And Zadorov he's been an absolute beast in this series. Mm-hmm. I have fallen head over heels in love with Nikita Zadorov in this series. Like he's got that brashness, this swagger, the physicality, the meanness that I love in a defenseman. He is he everything that my favorite Canuck of all time, Kevin Bieksa, had. He has as well, and he's bigger. I love that hit on Yossi in game 3. Oh, mm-hmm. Yeah. Like that he flattened him. That is fucking hockey porn right there. That is Sean's hockey porn. Big fucking hits like that. That is and then. Yeah, then he's getting chirped by the bench, and he just chirps right back. Oh, like that. He is a player that is built for playoffs.
Yeah, to kind of piggyback off of Kevin's talk about like getting him into the crease and whatnot, to completely bastardize a famous Luongo poem, get that big ass in that crease.
Yeah.
As I said, the Byfuglien playbook.
Yeah,
and they should keep that in. That should be part of their playbook going forward. I do wonder
if that can be a tweak on the power play.
Yeah,
I'm not
maybe.
sure who you pull off for the 5 out of the 5. Most likely it's either Garland or Lindholm if they're out there, because you're not Miller and Boeser are the two that make that work right now. Hughes is there. That's 3. You gotta have Pete. I think despite how the struggles that Petey's having, you have to have him out there, because especially if you can throw Zadorov in as net front, and you just tell Petey just to fire. Just forget about trying to make things pretty. Forget about looking for the best play. Just shoot the damn puck.
Just shoot through the bodies. Try and thread that needle.
Yeah, that could create some chaos, especially with that Russian chaos giraffe in front.
Yeah, I mean, I think you move Lindholm off, and then that's Miller can win faceoffs, and then you do add the depth to the second unit, which would be Lindholm, Roenick, Lindholm and Roenick for sure, and then kind of your mixed bag of everybody else you've kind of used.
Although I have to correct Sean here, though. With Myers being lanky, he's a giraffe, but with how thick and big Zadorov is, he's a chaos rhino.
No, he's a giraffe. He's a giraffe.
He's tall enough. He's still a giraffe.
I know, but I don't know. I just feel like the rhino has some more heft, some more weight to it, which is very Zadorov.
Yeah,
maybe call him an elephant.
I don't know. To me, Rhino just kind of whatever. I was shooting in the dark.
Well, Zadorov he has skills. Like, a lot of people look at this guy as a big, he's a chaos giraffe, and there are times that he does give the puck away. He did a couple of times tonight, but he also finds his way to get himself in the fabric of the game too. And just that's the chaos in Nikita Zadorov. It's entertaining and it's impactful, and it's like it's hard to get to the front of the net with him in the lineup and as well. Like we'll get into Quinn Hughes here in a second, but the way that Ian Cole, Tyler Myers, Carson Soucy, and Nikita Zadorov have played for the most part defensively, they've done a lot of yeoman's work here. I mean, the Preds had their chances in this game. We talked about Seeloss, but the defense was under pressure, and I thought they held up really well. I mean, I didn't really feel like Philip Forsberg was a huge impact in this game. I didn't really feel like Ryan O'Reilly was a huge impact in this game. I mean, they had their chances. The Predators clogged the guts of the ice for sure. And they're full mark for the first 55 minutes. They're going to talk about the 5 seconds or the final 5, 6, 7 minutes of this game forever, I'm imagining, in Nashville. But the four defense, the four Cole, Soucy, Myers, Zadorov, I thought they did a lot of great work. They did playoff work.
Well, this series has been just a muck it up work, like blue collar workhorse series. Like, and I think that's why Petey's struggling a little bit. He's worked hard on becoming stronger and more physical, but it's taken it up a notch a little bit here, and I think he's struggling to figure out how to play through that, because this is, again, we also have to remember, this is like the first, I don't want to say true playoffs, because I still like, yes, the bubble playoffs were different, and you didn't have the energy in the crowd and all that, but you still had, like, the play still went up a little bit for everyone there, and compared to what a regular season would be. But in terms of like routine and the vibe and everything, it's completely different from that, from the only other playoff experience that a lot of these players have in the NHL.
Yeah, he's not a playoff version, but this is a full, like, echelon step up.
It is. And so they're still trying, like, you're seeing even Hughes. I think Hughes is still sort of figuring things out as he goes as well. He's doing it better than Petey is, but I think it's going to come for Petey, and it's having a big defense like the Canucks have, with Ian Cole being the smallest amongst them outside of Hughes. Like, it really helps, because it when things do get dirty and do get mucky and you're in the trenches, you've got those guys.
Yeah. I'm not overtly worried about Pettersson. I see a bit of the body language that a few people are talking about. I saw a little bit of that today, but
yeah, unfortunately, was it the one power play, and he can't remember, like, muffed up something, and then he had that split second sag in his shoulders, but Nashville was going the other way, and he had to dig in and get back, and I give him credit. He dug in and gave it his all to get back and at least be a thought for the Nashville player going the other way. And there was no goal was scored, luckily, but he did make the effort back. But yeah, he had that split second sag in the shoulders, like, oh no, I fucked up again, sort of body language, and then he has to get back into the game. So he does have to get rid of that, but I feel like he just needs a bounce.
Yeah. Also, that Lazon accidentally on purpose hit after the first Nashville goal, as far as body language, definitely contributed, as far as like the whole kind of PD narrative struggling so far in this playoffs.
That was on purpose. That was on act. There was no accident about it. That was on purpose. Like
but of course. But if you ask Nashville, it was accidentally on purpose. Like that's going to be their.
They'll never. He'll never admit that he saw him and was like fuck and pushed him out of the way. Because there's no reason for him to do that. Like Lauzon's a fucking goon for doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I was like
right, season's over. You don't need to pad your hits back.
I put in our podcast chat. I'm waiting for Zadorov or Joshua to run him, just cleanly, because that's going in after him after that, and then mucking it up and maybe having a bit of a taking him off the ice with someone else. That's not necessarily the best way to handle it. It's take a number. And be when you have the chance, run them into the boards, and they did that. Garland did that actually.
Given the fact that it's playoff intensity, I'm actually kind of surprised that it's only just been scrums so far. That we actually haven't had like a proper scrap in this series yet. Like whether it's
it's been close. The games have been close for the most part, other than game 2. And it's been like you got McCarron who can fight, and then who on Vancouver is a good trade-off for him? No one. Zadorov's better on the ice than in the box. Myers is better on the ice than in the box. Soucy's better on the ice than in the box.
Yeah, as far as our guys that are capable of fighting, they're better offensively than him, absolutely. Yeah. But as far as like just trying to find like a dancing partner, like obviously someone like Zadorov or Dakota, hell, even maybe Cole, like I can see like there being several Canucks that would be willing to step up if the call indeed came to them.
And they're as muck it up in dirt, sort of in the dirty areas. I'm not saying like Nashville's like really, really dirty is in that terminology. We really haven't seen anything overtly to a point where you're like your eyes you see red and you're looking for retribution.
Yeah, it hasn't been like, for example, like I think the Leafs are feeling like with Brad Marchand or Matt Rempe with the Rangers. It hasn't really been that. It's been a really tightly played series where I don't think either team really wants to get into a fight and get themselves into any penalty trouble. But there's been bumps and bruises for sure. I mean, you saw Ryan McDonough feel it a little bit here. Roman Josi went off the ice and needed stitches. It's been a battle. It just hasn't been a punch in the face battle. And I'm actually liking it. I know that it's good to have the fights every once in a while, but like this hard hockey, it's hard, tight hockey. It's fascinating to watch. It's more strategic. It's a thinking man game. I think there's been a lot of interesting things in this series to kind of chew your head on.
Yeah. Just an interesting thought that I had though, like prior to the last 5 minutes of the game and knowing that we were planning on doing this podcast, I was like, is Taka getting out coached by Brunette? Because it kind of like, as far as like strategy and chess battles, as far as during the playoffs and whatnot, like, yes, the Canucks have gotten good bounces in the sense that they are now up 3-1, but just how, I don't know, like just how frustrating Nashville has been for the Canucks play style and like how they've been able to, whether it's interrupting their neutral zone rushes or whether it's blocking shots, like crazy amount of shots. Like there's been, I feel like Brunette's had a significant amount of strategical wins so far in the series where I was kind of having that question, especially if we had lost this game today.
I would say it's a saw-off in terms of the coaching. I think what the difference has been just the players, the Nashville players' just willingness to throw their bodies in front of the puck. Both teams are doing it. But Nashville in game 2 specifically, and then even and game 3, a little bit less this time. But I think it's a lot of it's been execution more than anything else, I think. And you're seeing what you're also seeing in this series is just the gap between the skill levels of these teams, because the Canucks, Nashville's the willingness to block the shots and muck it up has definitely leveled the playing field. But when the Canucks skilled players are able to show their skill, they're dominating. It's happening in short little spurts as opposed to long sustained periods.
I think Burnett they did make a mistake today. And I think it was not putting in Tyson Barrie instead of Dante Fabro. That you split up Yossi and McDonough, because Fabro's most effective with Yossi. Tyson Barrie is also a better guy to have on the power play. That I thought I was surprised that Fabro went in. I was like, they're putting in Barrie for sure, but they went with Fabro. I thought that was a bit of an error, and I don't know. I mean, I'm going to have to listen to the Predators podcast to figure out how they handled the final 5 minutes. But we're going to give the Canucks all the credit in the world for what happened here. But I think the Predators are going to see a lot of. There's going to be a lot of questions in Preds land about how that was handled for sure. I don't know. I don't feel it in conclusion.
Yeah, they got that unlucky bounce with Sissons not being able to put the puck in the empty net.
That's an alternative.
But that was also great. I also want to give Quinn Hughes a lot of credit for that, for his hounding of Sissons and forcing the issue there. Because if Quinn Hughes wasn't checking him so hard, that puck's in the back of the net.
Yeah. And
we're not even talking about it over Brock Boeser tying it with 6 seconds left.
Yeah, and like just I think it's a Faber quote, but like just the amount of dog in Quinn Hughes, like taking all of the hits, but still having that fight in him to still be able to play the way that he can play and contribute at a key part of the game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Quinn Hughes did not get a point this game, but that doesn't mean that he didn't wasn't a key contributor to those final 2 goals.
I thought he got I thought it was from Hughes and Pettersson. The tying hole wasn't okay. I'll have to look here because I thought he got an assist on that last goal.
No, it was from Pettersson and who did they give it to? At least when I saw it, wasn't Hughes. It was the game tying goal was from Lindholm from Miller and Pettersson. Hughes. What happened was Hughes had the puck on the far side and gave it to Petey at the top, because when they brought Zadorov on, they had Petey at the top of the umbrella on the blue line there, and so when Hughes Pettersson out to Miller, he took the shot, and then the scramble happened. Boeser missed the first rebound, collected it, and put it in. So that's why Hughes didn't get the assist.
Fair. Okay. Yeah, he was the cat. Well, yeah. But it was so they win the game. They're up 3-1. They have a chance to wrap up their first series win since 2011, I believe. We'll have to check that, but so that's what they did. 2000.
Since the bubble, Kev. Since the bubble.
That's right. Sorry. I forgot how the bubble went. Sorry, you're right, because they beat St. Louis. They beat Minnesota. Okay, let me just refresh my brain. They beat Minnesota. They beat St. Louis, and then they lost to Vegas. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Minnesota's the play-in, and St. Louis was technically round 1. Yeah.
I always just feel like that bubble series just almost didn't happen because that's just a year I forget.
I mean, if we're being blunt here, it kind of is an asterisk here, but yeah.
Yeah. So anything else on this game specifically that we should dig into, or this series? Okay. let's just quickly touch on some of the other.
I think the big thing is just who.
Go ahead, Sean. Sorry.
Do the Canucks go back with the Smith do the Canucks go back with the Smith in Game 5?
I mean, if he's healthy enough, I think that's probably the smart way of going about it. Like, I don't know. Like, as much as they are confident in front of Steelovs, unless DeSmith is not able to play, I think he should probably go with DeSmith in Game 5.
Yeah, I would think they're going back with DeSmith. But
I agree.
I'm 65% certain of that.
Yeah. Like I said, Steelovs was solid. He made a few big saves, but he didn't steal the game. He didn't. I don't think he stole the game in a way that like you have to go with him for the next game.
Yeah.
Not only that, just the general optics of him being a third stringer.
Yeah. But he did win the game, so
yeah.
I mean, putting him in net is not a controversial decision. Like, I don't think it's that controversial putting in Steelovs. No. I think you have the option. The one change I am wondering about is I do wonder if we see Podkolzin at some point in this series.
Given the physicality of this series, I'm actually kind of surprised that they have gone with PDG over Pods, just in the sense that Pods can bring the body when he's kind of when he brings his NHL level game.
I have Giuseppe hasn't been bad. He's had a couple moments on the forecheck, but I haven't noticed him for bad reasons. So I don't know why you would change that up right now. As much as I want to see Podkolzin, I don't know. I don't see a reason why you would change it at this point.
That's fair. Yeah, I kind of see where you're saying that. Yeah. Well, let's quickly touch on the other series here. Do we want to start with Toronto, or do we want to deal with Winnipeg, LA? Let's deal with Toronto, Boston, because Sean and I had a fun little podcast chat about the crowd in Toronto, where they are dead. Yes, they are normally also dead. Yes, but the Toronto Maple Leafs have given very little to cheer for if you're a Leafs fan during this series, especially at home. By the way, 6 straight home playoff losses. Predators, by the way, 5 straight home playoff losses that they almost ended. But 6 straight playoff losses for the Toronto Maple Leafs at home.
And the crowd was way better than Toronto.
In Nashville, yes, they were. They were, because they had a lot to cheer about. And I don't like. There's from the Toronto side, I guess the 2 big stories. Can I just deal with this? Let's deal with the Austin Matthews thing very quickly. I'm not a doctor. I never will be a doctor. I cannot claim to have any medical science degree. But if a doctor tells me to get off the ice because you're sick and it's going to be harmful, I'm not going to disobey him. I'm sorry. I know that there's Boston Bruin and Leaf fans reminding everybody that Patrice Bergeron played with all the broken things. That wasn't the brightest bulb in the world either. And there's a difference between harming yourself and possibly harming others, which, by the way, was why we had 2020 playoffs in a bubble. Just a reminder. I don't think that there's any criticism for us on Austin Matthews on that. Like, I think that that's the least of the issues in Toronto. Am I the only one that thinks that?
I haven't really been paying too much attention to that series, so I'm not exactly sure like if what Austin is going through is similar to what Nylander went through the first couple of games in this series. Like can you fill me in that?
Sure, yeah, let's fill this all in. Sorry. So Austin Matthews went into the game.
Nylander was dealing with
migraines.
Go for it, Kev.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's start with William Nylander. Maybe let's just go back because the report with William Nylander is that he was dealing with migraine headaches, and that's why he wasn't playing the first 3 games of the series. And if you've had I've had migraine headaches, I can tell you they are paralyzingly. They're paralyzingly hurt as fuck. You don't want them. There are headaches, and then there's migraine headaches. It is absolutely at a different level when you have those. So, I'm not going to sit here and complain about William Nylander or criticize him. Austin Matthews came into game 4. He was reportedly sick. The doctor took him off the ice in the 3rd period, at the second intermission. After a big brouhaha on the bench was noticed between Matthews, Nylander, and Mitch Marner, where Nylander basically said, "Stop it, bro. We are not in junior hockey." If you go on the internet, that's pretty much what he said. So, so the Matthews part of this, I'm not necessarily, there's nothing to criticize for. But Mitch Marner took it last night. Oh my goodness. And Chris, since you're not following the series, when we talked about body language, I was going to say at least Petey had body language today, but it was not Mitch Marner tossing a stick out and throwing his gloves on the bench body language and rolling his eyes at penalties body language. Like, that was, to me, that was deeply concerning. And the rest of the team with the Leafs followed suit with Mitch Marner and his tossing of things everywhere. There was eye rolls all over the place. That was just such an unbelievably immature performance from a team that should be a lot more mature at this point, with considering how long the core 4 has been together. The Boston Bruins are just simply kicking the Toronto Maple Leafs ass. There's no other way to say it.
Is it fair to say that at this point, with this many playoff, ghost performances, that Marner is not a playoff performer? He might be able to pull it in the regular season, but he is the anti-Justin Williams. At least that's how I'm kind of seeing it so far.
I feel like it's a little bit of everything. They were able to get over one hump last year. Now they're facing another ghost here with Boston. They're down 3-1 now. I think it's similar to Petey in terms of just trying to figure out how to take that next step and be, as Bieksa said, become the hunter as opposed to the hunted. And I feel like Marner just always becomes the hunted in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I honestly, I find this kind of amusing because Brad Treliving left Calgary when all the changes needed to be made to that roster and change out the core a little bit. I think he's gonna have to do that this summer in Toronto.
Yeah. Yes. He's got a lot of work.
At what point are you banging a square peg into a round hole for the 5th season in a row if you're Brendan Shanahan and the Leafs? I feel like you have to make a big move. If they don't come back and win this series, it's not over. They're down 3-1. We've seen many teams come back from 3-1 deficits and win a series. But if they're out in the first round, and especially if they don't even show up in game 5, and they lose to Boston again, I think we've said this about the Leafs for a couple seasons here about expecting something big, but I feel like it has to happen this year. I wish Devin was on here because I would love to hear his take on this. But I just look at this and it feels like if to borrow a Torts, to borrow something from Torts when he was in Vancouver, the team is stale.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it feels, and I think maybe that's what the crowd is sensing too, Sean. I think that they're watching a stale product and they just are going into this feeling like they can't beat Boston. We've never beat Boston. We haven't done it since 1959. I don't see this team. They don't see that this team can do it this time. And that's, I think, why you're looking at a really awful crowd.
The only thing I would correct in that sense is that the core is stale because, let's be honest, Dubas changed out a third of that team at the trade deadline last season. So like they've changed out the outside of the core significantly from year to year, but it's that core that they've gone with consistently for the past however many years that just can't seem to really do much outside of that one win last season in the playoffs.
Well, and you know what? There's a trade that this is one that I miss Devin for many reasons, but the one trade that Kyle Dubas does not get enough criticism for is the trade of Rasmus Sandin for Eric Gustafsson. That was not a good trade. And you look at that blue line, they probably
it was Sandin for Gustafsson and a first, if I remember correctly. He wanted to recoup another first-round pick out of that.
I'm still not sure I like that trade, even with the first. I don't know if that's a guy I would have given up.
No, I especially when you're in a win now situation that the Leafs are in. I don't think it made any sense.
But yeah, that's that series. Let's do. I was going to do Winnipeg. I was going to ask this question: what's been more frustrating? The Winnipeg Jets they can compete for 2 periods with Colorado. They're not able to compete with 3 periods in any game with Colorado. Cale Makar has taken the "I'm not in the Norris" conversation very personally, and has let out all of his emotion on the Winnipeg Jets, and has just completely dominated them. The Avs are just overpowering them at every situation. The Jets just have unraveled and have been generally pretty undisciplined for the most part, and thinking that Connor Hellebuck would save the day. And after the first game of game 1 of Georgiev, where there were Avalanche fans that literally said, I do not want to see Georgiev to play another game in Colorado again. He has been strong, and the Colorado's just looked like the better team. And I have a funny feeling that series will be over on Tuesday.
I'll admit at this point, it's probably the biggest mistake I made in my playoff bracket. I just felt that Colorado is too inconsistent in that last stretch of the regular season. But damn, like the Avs have shown that they are kind of essentially what the Lightning were for the previous 5 years before, in the sense that like never count them out, especially when it comes to playoff time, because they can just flip a switch once it's time, and clearly they've done that. Like they are dictating the play in that series.
Yeah, with the Avs are going to go as far as Georgiev takes them. If he's on his game, they can go all the way. If he's off for multiple games in a series, that can spell the end of them. But they're just such a juggernaut when you've got Makar and McKinnon leading the way. It's so hard to match up against those two, because not only are they skilled and fast, but they're big too. They're not small guys, and they're strong. So it's gonna be that next round in the Central Division. Assuming it's Colorado gets through versus either Dallas or Vegas, is going to be the probably the marquee matchup in the second round, in my opinion.
That might be the marquee matchup of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Although, yeah, might be. Who knows? But for the other thing with Colorado that is so impressive is the strength of their wingers, like Nichushkin, Lehkonen, Rantanen. They're just big. They're just a big, skilled team, and the Jets' blue line is just not strong enough to handle them. I mean, they are going to have to upgrade. The Maple Leafs have to upgrade the blue line. The Jets have to upgrade that blue line severely if they're going to want to get around to the next round. The other,
it's a combination of speed and strength that Colorado has, and I don't think it's a strength issue on the blue line for a pure physical strength issue on the Jets blue line. I think it's more the speed. It's that combo that is why Colorado is so tough for them.
Yeah.
Because you look at that blue line and it's like they're they're built very similar to the Canucks in terms of size. Like Brendan Dillon and Dylan DeMello are not small guys.
But are they nasty?
Nate Schmidt is those two are not don't shy away from that. Logan Stanley's not a guy who's going to shy away from that. Dylan Sandberg's not a guy who's going to shy away from that. You got Morrissey and Schmidt, who are probably your least physical guys on that blue line, but the rest of them are not. They're not going to shy away from that. No, I don't. I wouldn't call them a nasty blue line, but I wouldn't call them they're
not
closer
nasty,
to
but
that
they're not
than
soft.
say like than they're closer to that than the other way.
Fair. Yeah.
And again, I also think it's also the on the forward side there for Winnipeg too. I don't think they're outside of Adam Lowry. Do they really have anyone who can handle that physicality?
Not really. No. Unfortunately. No. Yeah. I was wrong on that one too, Chris. And the other one that I'm one of the few that have given the Kings a chance against the Oilers, and I'm so far not looking very good as the Kings continue to give up field goal leads to the Oilers in this series. Here's the thing with the Kings, though, that is just like there's so much to give credit to the Oilers for, I guess. Sure. But they're like, I don't know where the Kings' defensive play has been because, I mean, they are making mistakes all over the place, first of all. And if I am a Kings fan, I am having some questions about Rob Blake and his handling of a few things here. The Pierre-Luc Dubois trade, for one, I think it has to be questioned. The handling of the acquisition of the goalie, although I don't think it's necessarily been all of Cam Talbot's fault, but I think he's the guy that's getting the most scrutiny here, unfortunately, because of the position that he's playing. And really, I don't know if it was the right move to fire Todd McLellan. I don't know if that was smart either. I don't know. I think that the person that should be taking the bullets here is Rob Blake, and I think the Kings are in trouble going forward. Like, I don't think that this is a good team going forward.
I think the Pierre-Luc Dubois trade was fine. It was the signing after that's the issue. I think having a center, a three-headed monster down the middle of Kopitar, Deneau, and Dubois makes a lot of sense. And when they are playing well, and I think the coaching change was needed, when they are playing well in that stupid trap system that they play, they can beat this Oilers team. It's only 2-1. Yes, they got lit up last game, but if they come out and win tonight, it's 2-2 and it's a best of 3 going forwards. This series ain't over.
Yeah, okay. I'm trying to believe that. I want to believe that. I really do. I think the Kings can tie it. If it ties, I'm still holding out hope for the Kings, but it's just the way that the Oilers are winning these games. It's hard to have hope when it's like they're winning 6-1, 6-1.
They've won 2 out of they've only won 2 games. It's not like it's 3-1 like with the Leafs, right? They win if the Kings can come out and win. They won game 2. And if they come out and win it, they come out and win it the game tonight, it's a tie series and it's anyone's series. If the Kings play their defensive game that they can play, they'll keep it close and they have a chance. If they start to if they get out of that shell like they did in game 1 and game 3, yes, the Oilers are going to capitalize and the Oilers are going to win this series. What team shows up? Yeah,
as of right now, think of it more like the Nashville-Vancouver series partway through the game today as opposed to where the Toronto series is at now. Like, they're not necessarily out of it yet. They could be, but they're not out of it yet. There's still a chance for redemption for them.
Okay.
It's a best of 7 series here. We're not talking about this is the win or go home part of the series.
But hey,
again,
John and I
the
could
Kings
also
show
look
up
like
and play
idiots
their
in
defensive
6 hours.
Yeah, if the Kings show up and play their defensive system that they can and they've done before and they beat the Oilers with before, they will win. They can win this. They can win this series. But if they get out of that shell, the Oilers are going to exploit that for sure.
Thanks for giving me some comfort. Because I'm one of the few that I think picked the Kings. Like,
Stop being defeatist, Kevin. Stop being defeatist.
Okay.
Silver linings.
I just have fear. Okay, I have fear.
Don't listen to the Ducks fan in the chat, because that guy's the biggest Ducks fan that you'll ever meet, and he'll just all he does is hate on the Kings for some strange reason.
Yeah, look, I'll say this again. I think, like, when you take away, I said this yesterday, take away McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman, the top three. Oh, for sure, you're going to give the Oilers the edge. But the Kings have the depth. The Kings have the depth against the Oilers. I would take those three away. I would match that Kings forward group against that Oilers forward group. I would give them the advantage.
You take one of McDavid or Draisaitl away, and the Kings have the better forward group. But those two put together, and it's so tough.
It is. Yeah. Anything else on the playoff part? We should. I just wanted to give you guys an opportunity. Of course, the big story this week was the passing of Bob Cole, and I was thinking about this. He has called a final for all of the Canadian teams that have been in the final since 1969. So he called the final for the Canadians. He called the finals for the Flames, the Oilers, the Senators, and the Canucks. Called 1994. Only the Leafs and the Jets are not. He did not call a final for, but he called a lot of historic Leaf wins over the years. So he's been sort of this grandfather of Canadian hockey throughout the years. And I mean, he probably has some Quebec Nordique moments. Let's not forget that. But I had a chance to talk about him yesterday. If you guys had something to say about Bob Cole, I would give you the floor.
The voice of a generation. You think of. I look back at my childhood, and there's four voices that helped me fall in love with hockey. Bob Cole, Jim Robinson, Jim Houston, and Peter Marr. And it's yeah. You think about some of his calls. Everything is happening. It sucks. It sucks that one of the people who was the voice of a part of my childhood, part of our childhoods, part of our lives is gone, and he's Canadian royalty.
A legend. Yeah, there's not too much I can add that hasn't already been said. Like, maybe just because of how much I've kind of locked myself into just watching Canucks hockey, especially more regional stuff. Like, I haven't been exposed to too much outside of like the national games, which obviously would have been Bob Cole for a decent chunk of my youth. He's undeniably a legend. Oh Baby is something that I will always tie back to him. Everything that's happening as well. Nothing but respect for the guy. Kind of wish that I would have maybe heard more games from him growing up, but for me at least, like for me, the voice of Canucks hockey is always going to be whether it's a Jim Houston or a John Shorthouse. But when it comes to national games, undeniably Bob Cole was the voice of Canadian hockey.
Yep. Rest in peace, Bob Cole. Well, that does it, I think. Anything else we need to talk about?
Yeah, I think we pretty much buttoned it up.
Buttons it up. We'll leave it there. How do we follow everyone?
I am Bearder Canucks 03 on Twitter.
I am at Schneids on all the social medias.
Tyler is TNOBLE. Devin, who's back, Devin, who will be back soon at one time. Gordhow09 on Twitter. He'll be back. I am KEVOLE on social
He's the Matt Damon of this podcast now.
Yes, he is. I'm trying to think if there's any. Yeah, explain the Matt Damon reference.
Jimmy Kimmel. It was the late night with Jimmy Kimmel. He would always say that, so sorry, we
ran out of time.
Yeah.
We ran out of time. We can't have Matt Damon on anymore.
Yes, Devin, we're running out of time. But you can follow him at GordHow09, and he's our Peter O. Pete's insider, by the way, as well. And we also Tyler and you guys. Did you guys say yours? You said that. Oh, okay. So everybody has said everything. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks everyone for listening. And I'm just going to leave you with 3 words before I say goodbye. Elias fucking Lindholm. Thanks for watching.
Let's go!
Woo!
Talk to you all very soon. Bye for now.